Hello, welcome to the latest Goals I View. I'm joined by Dom.
Hello, mate. You're right.
Yeah, and I'm joined by Chris.
Evening.
And we're talking about the 3-0 victory against Weymouth, the power rankings, and a little preview to a couple of weeks ago against Notts County. So, 3-0 win against Weymouth. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Odd game, really.
Yeah.
A very comfortable game in some regards. I mean, the first half, we didn't create masses, but every time we attacked, they were so square defensively that, I mean, both of the first two goals came from long balls over the top. They weren't aimless, but they were long balls over the top. And the first goal, kind of, Wern was clearly onside and just kind of ran in behind everyone and stuck it away, really. And same with the second one. They were so square that when the ball came back out, and obviously Little got it was a clear penalty. But I mean, I think McDonald made 3 or 4 saves in that first half, which kind of made it look. But I mean, there was only the one low down to his left that I thought was a good save. The rest kind of wouldn't quite go as far as say that I could have saved it. But
long ball is a bit harsh for that first goal, Chris. I think Duke picked him out, didn't he? I mean,
that's right. It was a structured long ball. It wasn't a punt, but it was just a long ball over the top.
They all just kind of. The line was really high, to be honest. For a
it
team.
Was really high.
It was quite bizarre. Then you're right, and at 2-0. Weymouth could have got that crucial goal that Barnett scored against us, but they were kind of short on sight, weren't they? And
as had a few pops, didn't there? So McDonald was quite busy, wasn't he?
He was quite busy, and they were good saves. Like you expect to make most of them, but like he handled them well. But no, I thought we again like Aldershot, we just didn't need to get out of first or second gear, which shows the sort of level this squad actually is. We were just playing lovely football. It was a lovely kind of like Easter summer's day. And it's just nice to be playing more, really. It wasn't anything really stressful about it. So
I think as well what we've done in the last 2 games is something we're notoriously rubbish at, which is kind of kill teams off. We scored goals in the first couple of minutes of the second half of games. The third goal kind of it's the classic 2-0 is a dangerous lead, which I would think a silly thing because I'd rather be 2-0 up than 1-0 up. But that third goal was key, wasn't it? Because the second half was pretty much a non-event, really. It was
most unusual for us, really.
Absolutely.
So many of our wins are ground out 2-1 wins that go to 95 minutes, and that's what doesn't help our fitness. That's where we pick up knocks and stuff, isn't it? But
you're right.
Pretty much a clean bill of health now, haven't we? So
we have, and like we just killed the game off, as you say. There are times you think this has got boring, but like we do just kill the game off for like 10-15 minutes in stages to wear down the opposition, which Arsenal are a great example of that. It's been quite in the media about it. So the fact that we're doing that, and you're right, Dom, we at the moment we don't have that injuries, and that might be down to it. So
I think it's worth noting as well that, I mean, whilst absolutely we have killed these teams off and you do what you play, but from my viewing of the games, those 4 at the bottom are dreadful, considerably worse than the rest of the league.
Poor teams, aren't they?
I mean, especially Aldershot. I mean, Weymouth,
Aldershot. Wow.
Aldershot were just ridiculous in that game. Talking teams will struggle against them when we were down there. That's the difference now. But no, you're
7
right.
7 points out of 8 against those bottom 4 this season, which is unlike us, really.
Yeah,
that was
close.
I think the funny thing about our season is we've been inconsistent, but we've also been quite consistent in the fact we've beaten the bottom teams.
Yeah.
We've had mixed results against the middle teams, and generally we haven't beaten the top teams.
It's quite bizarre. We've actually done like the mid-table season. This table does not line us size. We're miles better than the people below us, and not quite as consistent and good enough as the teams above us. Where, as you say, usually talking of old, they're like, we're good at in the underdog games that we struggle against the sort of part-time teams.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they're destined for the non-league south, aren't they? But it's not the end of the world for them because they are that type of team, aren't they? If they can survive some seasons in the conference,
what they've gone through the last few years is unbelievable.
I tell you what, Aldershot need to watch themselves because the signed Kings Lynn are waking up, aren't they now? What is it, 5 points, 7 points?
Yeah, because they beat Aldershot, didn't they? And surely not. Surely Kings Lynn can't stay up.
So a couple of more wins, and I mean, Aldershot were kind of considerably that bad. That if Kings Lynn can, they've gone above Weymouth now, haven't they? After that win over Halifax at the weekend, which made me feel so much better for the 600 miles.
You just don't want Cleves to stay for another season, do you, Sam?
That
vendetta you got.
If he stays, if Kings Lynn stay up, then fair play. Honestly, that'd be unbelievable. But surely when I seen those 2 results against Aldershot and Halifax, I was like, surely not. Don't be silly now, because I thought Weymouth were going to be the team. Or to be honest, I hope Weymouth were going to be the team that did that because of the away trip. But Yeah.
Aldershot probably will pick up a win.
They will get a win from somewhere.
They're only going to need a couple of wins, aren't they? With that gap.
They'll get something eventually, won't they? Surely.
Yeah, no, I do agree. But yeah, I think we're absolutely superb. We move on to power rankings because we kind of integrate that into the game still. So the top 10 at the moment is a much, let's say, more healthy top 10, where 10th place with last 3 games is this, if you've never watched before, is kind of the most votes I've ever seen for 10th place, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
to be 10th in this list when your team's won a lot of games recently is a good achievement.
So the placings changed, didn't they?
It has
early
changed.
Votes.
Yeah. So in 10th has got Tom Lapsey, which is a bit harsh to be honest to say he's the 10th most informed player in the squad because he's been very good, I thought, especially the last 2 games.
Clearly the influence Luke had because he gave him man of the match on Saturday, so the people are really are listening to him. I'd like to,
that is true actually. Yeah, I think because as we saw Lapsey at the weekend, we usually say against the sort of teams where we're a lot better than, he might struggle, but that was not the case at all. He was brilliant. He put the ball in for the 3rd goal, which
that was a nice cross for the 3rd one.
And he was. That's the last 3 games were the best I've seen Tom Lapsey, to be honest, like from a consistent basis.
He's been a funny player as well, hasn't he? Because he seems to have 2 types of games.
Yeah,
he has a really good game where he bites it, wins everything in midfield, starts to play, and he's had some absolute shockers. I can't think of many games where you'd say, he did all right. He's either
when he has a bad one.
He has a
bad one. He has a really bad one, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think him and Little work, and it's not sure I love ASOL, we all do. Him and Little worked so well recently because Little, which we'll get into in a minute, so he sort of stepped up that kind of commitment as well. He's not just a ball player, he wins the ball back as well. It's like the complete midfielder. So them 2 have been absolutely superb. I mean, when we signed Lapsey, I kind of had the back of my mind, hopefully 2-year deal, he'll be there in case Asa Hall can't quite do it for another season or 2. So it's nice to sort of take the pressure off him a bit. We haven't been as reliant on him. We still need him.
Well, Asa hasn't played for a while now.
No, he hasn't been on the bench.
I remember the last game he played.
No.
I don't know if he'll play again this season, will he now?
No.
I mean, they said, I think they said last week they're managing an injury, but managing an injury tends to be and playing. So managing and not playing would suggest he's injured. So the longer it goes on, the more you think to yourself, is that it now?
Yeah. I do wonder if he'll manage again this season now, but there's still a couple of months to go. So.
That's in 10th. Not exactly like he's been bad or anything, but he's 10th of people spoken. As I'm going to move on
it's a strength for the team at the moment.
Yeah, and it is. And when the team's in such good form, the creative players will end up being naturally higher in people's minds than the kind of not so creative people. The sort of more sort of defending sort of unit people. Which not saying that wasn't creative in that game, just a general thing. Up to 9th, Danny Wright. Again, a bit harsh. I think it's been absolutely superb. I think we're
Hexagon.
Yeah, Wright's at his best. Yeah.
That's very harsh, isn't it? Because he's had his best run of games this season. If he can only make 9th, I think maybe there's ageism in there. I don't know, Chris. What do you think?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think some people have written him off for sure. I mean, I've got a friend who wouldn't have him anywhere near. It was scathing after him about the Halifax game. But I mean, the Aldershot game, he had so much space to win the ball, chest the ball down, have a think, have a cup of tea, and then play the ball. There was so much space in between the lines in that game that he could just kind of run the game almost from centre forward. But again, for me, he's the sort of player that you always want. He's big, strong, scores some goals. He's not scored that many goals this year, but I mean, he's been, and let's face it, he's the best option we've got by pretty much the only option we've got.
I think he's got his mojo back a bit. I think he's got his mojo back a bit.
He's got his confidence.
Looks a bit sharper, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks really sharp. He's holding the amount of flick-ons, bringing it, and like Aldershot, he didn't score, but oh my god, the assist and the kind of bringing it down is absolutely superb. So well done, right? It shows the strength of the form at the moment. Winter in 8th, and that's what I was kind of alluding to when I said about the creative players, because you can't. I'm not sitting there and say Winter has been like.
I'm not happy with this.
No, we're
that's
not happy.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Should we just start the public vote it?
Two clean sheets in 2 weeks, called up to England C, has a child as well.
Yeah.
Gets pushed down the 10. I can't believe this. I really can't.
That's his week ruined now, isn't it? Can't, mate.
I know.
His head's not going to be there at England C tomorrow, It's just like, I can't believe it. I'm 8th. But no, I think maybe you could put down to the fact he hasn't gone forward, been able to go forward as much. He's now got Opie Edwards in front of him. I don't know, but Winsley's been brilliant. Anyway, 7th, Lewis, which is great because he's 7th last week, so I haven't had to move. And then Ivans, 7th and 6th. So I haven't had to move these two in the last 2 weeks. So I'm really happy with that. So keep up the consistent voting on that.
I think that's also a sign that because he's been kind of top 3, top 5, kind of since we started doing this. And actually, the fact he's lower down probably suggests that he's having to do a bit less.
Yes, and that's a good thing.
The more attacking players are further up, which probably.
I think after the Notts County and Woking games, I bet it'll be top 3 or 4 because
all the attackers will be at the bottom.
They're too much. He'll be a bit busier in those two, I think.
Yeah, the whole back four and McDonald would be the top 5.
I think Ali could have played these last 2 and we'd have been all right, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
No disrespect to the big man.
But he could, I wish I could see more of those long balls again, and he would have scored in more of them as well. Might have done. But you know, he come against Aldershot and won everything, and he even got photos at half time.
He was a colossus at Aldershot 10 minutes, really.
Yeah, and you know, he gets photos at half time. If that doesn't show that he's the most popular Torquay player in the squad, then I don't know.
You should do a separate YouTube episode just for Ali.
I agree. I'm gonna make one of those, you know, those like compilations that they do for like scouts, and put the really like annoying like electronic music, and then start like putting like all in slow motion. I'm just gonna do that for Ali Omar season.
Moment.
Yeah,
I'd sign up to that straight away.
Moving in, so we've got Lewis and Evan Ivan's both been. Lewis been solid. Evan Ivan's been very good. He was absolutely superb against Aldershot. You know, with the gloves on, still the gloves on against Aldershot.
Why was he wearing gloves last Saturday?
Double-barreled Thierry Henry, I say. That's what I said. So.
Yeah, there was no part of that day that was cold. I have no idea. That's beyond.
He only comes from South Wales.
Maybe.
Sorry.
Streamlining.
What was it, 18, 19 degrees or something?
Some bloke in the pop side, every time he lost the ball, when it was rare, it was like, I'll get the bloody gloves off. It's because he got gloves on. So, you know, he's maybe just winding up the people on the pop side. And then,
he had a bit of a nearly match, didn't he? I think he could have scored 1 or 2. He got into a lot of good positions.
That
almost had a penalty that could have been given. But
was genius as well.
I think the risk of being hypercritical, though, he does everything he does in every game just has one too many touch.
Yeah. And usually
you could even aim that a little with the penalty, you know, that had opened up, hit it, and he's trying to come back inside again. And Lemon Evans does that all the time. One too many touches, and just
he doesn't generally like to take a touch and bang it, does he? He likes to.
And he's got a great finish on him when he does. Great finish on him when he does. So I don't know what he doesn't. But yeah, he's still, we know his talent.
He's been excellent.
Yeah, him and Wright together have been superb. Really good partnership. Moving up to Little, who, you know, again, who votes this? Because he's been absolutely, superb. Like the way he wins the ball, loses it. You know, if someone loses it, he gets it back. That's what I'm sort of saying. It's not just like a playmaker anymore. He's that complete midfielder. It shows what Johnson and Downs has done with him on the training ground.
I think he's reading the game off the ball a lot more now, isn't he? He's not waiting for the ball to come to him. He's chasing things down. He's just busier, isn't he? And that makes such a difference, Chris.
But far be it for me to disagree with Luke, of course. But I mean, I'd had him man of the match Saturday.
Yeah,
it's just the way he's. I mean, he's just so much fitter now than kind of we've had him at any stage, isn't he? Now, but he's as you alluded to earlier, Sam, that kind of tempo from midfield. He can dictate the pace of the game from there. And driving runs,
of the season.
Back. A quality penalty.
A guy had weak wrist for that, shouldn't he? I think he might have saved today.
Yeah, no, it was quite funny actually. I had all my family there, my 4-year-olds. I've not been to that many games, but he went to the Wealdstone game, and as he was about to take it, how children remember stuff from nowhere. He said, "Oh no, not Little. He missed before."
Yeah, I was feeling like that.
That was like November.
I just had flashbacks of that, and it was dreadful.
Yeah, it was for his hat trick, wasn't it, against Wealdstone?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Hit the advertising ball at the top, or something like that.
No, I mean. But
I think with Armani, he's not so concerned these days about showing how good he is.
Yeah,
you know,
I think that's the thing. He just does it. He hasn't got as much to prove now. Yeah,
he doesn't feel like he has to make a world of a pass each time. He wants to just be careful, keep it where necessary, and then do the good things when he has the chance.
And he's got best players around him. He's got like Duke McKenna. I'm sorry, if you get the ball, you've got Duke McKenna on the right, or just around him. He will see the run that Armani Little wants to make all the time. And he's got Martin coming up now. We didn't have that at the start
of course,
of the season.
we're in danger of having a settled side in recent games, haven't we?
Yeah.
That helps the cohesion of the actual team. You know, they know what they're going to do.
I think
off
the topic, I think OPEB was coming to the squad and not being involved in that teaching. He's been here for like a week, maybe not been match fit. We'll talk about that for another time. But that just kind of shows me when you look at Duke McKenna and them talking on the pitch, the other players know exactly what they want, and they're so well drilled now. Which is again credit to Johnston Downs. But yeah, you're right. So Little in 5th, and into 4th got Moxie, who's moved off from the 5th place that he's been for a while up to 4th. It's completely solid. Ultimate professional, so the same every week.
He scored.
Yeah.
So he's this season. Again, he's another one who's been fit, hasn't he? I mean, he was very in and out last year.
Put him into centre back as well. Like as a centre back, give him another year deal, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that wide centre back on the left of a 3. Well, I work with a lot of extra fans, and there are a lot of extra fans who'd have given him another contract off the back of the year when they released him, and that he played in that position then. And it gives the good thing about having him and Winter in those positions. Obviously, Winter can get forward a bit more. Moxie has the throw-ins, and it just gives your centre backs have to supplement the attacks at times in that formation. You don't have the natural width you get with 4 in midfield. So this season he's got to be in the running for player of the season. He's been
100%.
And like when it is
Gary
a 4
Johnson
as well,
already be offering the contract.
100%.
Already be having words. As I said, he can play left back. He can play left to a 3. Centre back, he's comfortable. He's a good player to have around the squad.
I mean, the key is that I know obviously we don't own a couple on loan, but the 11 that we had at the weekend, just if you can get as many as them next season, and build around that, you've got one hell of a team. But I would take all 11, absolutely superb. I don't, Duke McKenna could get a Football League move, so could Warren. I know Duke McKenna's at the end of his contract, and a lot of our players could get Football League moves. Let's not beat around the bush. I mean this team's brilliant. There's a couple really sort of key players in the round, a bit more depth is the key. We still look at the bench,
sounds excitable today, Dom. Listen to it, mate.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a tea. I think I'll put 2 sugars in it. But I'm really thinking about it. Who is next? I'm looking at it now. Into the top 3. You're seeing on the screen now. Stephen Wyan, the highest he has been by quite a bit in the top 3.
How do you pronounce his surname, sorry?
Wern. Yeah, German. Werner.
Wern.
I think obviously he scored a couple of goals in the last couple of games. I still
want to see more consistency from him.
I think 3 might be a little high if it were me.
I think it's slightly,
it's a bit of a surprise he's suddenly banged up to 3, isn't he? Because he couldn't get in a 10 a couple of weeks ago.
No, he's been brilliant, but I wouldn't quite say he's been as good as the ones like below him.
Yeah. But what's he played? 10 games, 11 games, and scored 3 goals. So that's not bad, is it? But he took his goal very well on Saturday. He doesn't influence, doesn't affect games enough for me. Admittedly, he's now playing in a position which is probably foreign to him. But equally, from a wide player's perspective, he doesn't kind of influence games enough. He doesn't get involved in games, but he's in the team. He's scoring goals. He's part of the group that's done well.
You definitely want him in the squad. You definitely want him in the squad. I still think there's a lot more to come. With Duke McKenna, you think this is exactly what we can do. With Wine, I'm like a bit more consistency, and you'll be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But that finish, that was a pivotal moment for me in the career because he started off really well, a couple okay games, and I think he's been put through, and he's really shown, this is what I am about. I've got composure. I'm a really good player.
Yeah.
I think he's a different character to Duke McKenna, isn't he? I think he's quite a laid back character. Compared to Duke. Wants the ball to feet and just run and have a shot. But his movement off the ball was really good on Saturday. I think that's something that Gary will be instilling on him. Keep busy and keep running off the ball and make it difficult for defenders to mark you, because he's been a bit easy to mark previously, isn't he?
I think he needs to be a bit
him a bit static.
You're right. I think it needs a bit more not angry, but a bit more about him, because he's just coming out of academy football, so a bit more angry, a bit more sort of unpredictability with his play.
After scoring against Aldershot, I called it after that. I said, he'll probably score again on Saturday, and that's what happens, isn't it? Confidence breeds another goal, and he'll feel better for it. And,
definitely.
It does bode well for the rest of the games. Much like Chris, he's got a lot to prove to me as well. In these big games, he's going to have to show up a lot more. It won't be so easy. There'll be less space. But we shall see, won't we?
Yeah, and we've got Duke McKenna next, we spoke about, and it's been excellent. I think he had a bit of a knock. He came off after 60 minutes, was a bit tired at the weekends.
He's the classic modern footballer, isn't he? There's a lot of kind of risk reward in the way he plays. He's got unbelievably quick feet. He can get himself out of a hole, but equally there are times when he passes the ball across midfield and loses the ball and you get countered, which leaves you pulling your hair out a bit. But I mean, what I like about him, and I noticed again on Saturdays, he's a talker. For a kid at his age, there's a lot of communication going on, and there's a lot of. I think he has a good football brain. He had two or three opportunities in the first end of the first half when he's trying to get it right in the top corner to get it away from the keeper and fired over. But there's a lot to work with there. I mean, I think if you could have him for a whole season, you'd be pretty happy with that.
It's always good.
He's just such a positive player, isn't he? He always wants to go forward. His first thought is, what can I do with the ball? What can I impact the game? How am I going to make something happen here? That's just lovely. You don't get many players that.
No, he brings a smile on your face. Proactive. I agree, and hopefully he don't do too amazingly in some ways we get next season. But hopefully Queen's Park just stop watching.
I'll just enjoy him while we can.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Speculate. We'll have him and his mate Sinclair back for the season next year.
Don't you start. I think the nature of the football in the world these days is you're always looking ahead, aren't you, to next season? Are we going to make the playoffs? It's like still 9 games. Just enjoy,
I do
enjoy
agree.
what we got.
But we are going up next season because.
Okay. We'll talk about that next week, shall we?
Yeah. And then Sean McDonald's in number 1, and he's been 1-2, testing the microphone 1-2, and then he's there. So what a macker.
I mean, he'll have 2 harder clean sheets in a week than that. Again, I would say I'm not sure he'd be, but what I like about him is he just does everything you want him to do. Like they had Aldridge had a free kick in the first minute, didn't they? And there were several occasions in that game where his handling was just really good. I agree. Famous last words. He had a mistake in him, kind of around every corner before, but this season his handling is good. His anticipation of risk is good. He came absolutely flying out for a free kick at one point on Saturday and ended up kind of bouncing around the penalty area.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit lucky at that point, didn't he? But the ball, he still managed to save it, and
he went down with cramp.
Really good.
He went down with cramp in the 67th minute. I haven't seen that all season.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was cramp as such, or maybe
it was a fake
moment. It was a hot day. It was around Cov time, about 70 minutes.
67th minute, and then we were like, and some people actually started believing it. Like Halstead was even warming up. Halstead was a bit like, I might get my bib on, and he's like, no, what's the point? And then I was like, are you actually mad? That you actually thinking of this isn't, were you here last season? Well, no one was there last season, but we were watching last season, but he was fine. But we just need a drink.
Of course, in the games where you're winning easily, it can be difficult to keep your concentration, can't it? And suddenly you get a shot to save, you make a meal of it, and goes in the corner. Yeah, he's improved on that situation now. 2 clean sheets in a week. So
I hope scouts don't watch our power rankings for Sean McDonald's sake. I am for Ben Winter's sake.
I'm sure they do.
I am for Ben Winter's sake. Yeah, he's late for night.
It's mostly scouts, Ali Omar fans, and people who like Connor wearing gloves. It's mostly the people.
I'm glad everyone ignored my 1-2 joke. It was awful, but
it wasn't worthy of anything else.
It wasn't worthy, no. And apart from that, nothing else about it for me. We've got no.
I think it's a good list, but I'd probably change it here or there. But it shows that there's 10 players that are playing pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree.
What I would say is, again, at the risk of sounding a bit excitable, again, if you think we were after Halifax, that was it. We were 10 points away. Now it's 6 points away, and I think the reality is that the next game will probably decide it, won't it? Because if we're going to have to beat some sides above us. If we're going to have any chance of getting in the playoffs, we're going to have to beat some sides above us.
All the pressure's on Notts County.
It'll be interesting to see what results Boreham gets. I think they've got 2 games before.
Woking
at home against Saturday, and I think they've got a tough one on Tuesday. Bit of pressure on them now. It's
brilliant. We have no pressure on us at all. We have no pressure on us at all. Notts County have all the pressure, the budget and the team they have. It should be.
You say that. There's always pressure there.
There's always pressure, but I'm just getting the mind games out. I'm sure Notts County sat watching this. The pressure's on you.
But again, if you looked at it kind of 11 games out, we've had these 2 games which you thought we'd win. If we can then beat Notts County, stick one across them, and then we've got 2, you'd argue, very winnable games across Easter. And then let's just live in a fancy world of 5 wins in a row just for a moment. All of a sudden, then the gap's got to be 2, 3, 4 points by then, hasn't it? And then all of a sudden, but then we've got some games that are tough, and then that last week looks pretty daunting. But if you're in form,
Chris, you're very excitable. I think you maybe need to calm down on it. Huh?
Yeah, but again, this is the point though. Which is where this Notts County game is key. If we don't win it, it's another game gone, and the gap may have got bigger. If we lose it, it's all done. But if we win it,
obviously if we draw,
we're on a tight rope, aren't we, at the moment?
It's a must-win game for us, I think.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
I think so. Notts County have improved a little bit. They got Harry Archer in midfield, just because they could.
Yeah,
so that'll make it interesting, won't it?
I mean, it's mental.
He's no Duke McKenna, though, is he? So
it is mental. Like he's not exactly a bad player either. It's not like he did bad in the Premier League and Championship. It's just mental.
And Carl Cameron's not playing, so he can't score from a corner as well.
I don't know. He's going to make it back, isn't he? I don't know how bad his injury is, but
his hamstring's gone again, I think, hasn't it? So I don't know how serious it is. But I think if he doesn't play, we'll have done well to avoid the circus of Cameron and Whitfield in one season, really, coming back to them both being injured when they played us.
This was going to sound to end the episode, it's going to sound a bit of a controversial topic, right? And I mean, injuries are something that's you can't really manage, but there are certain things to do it. Obviously, last season it was injuries. A lot of players that were here were injured, Little being the obvious one, right, and Moxie at times. But have you noticed, obviously, I know I never wish it, it's a horrible thing, and I'm not saying that at all, but sadly for their sakes, Whitfield and Cameron, they have carried on this kind of injury-based form, and then you sort of get you thinking, a minute, and right, and this is going to be the biggest curse in the world. We, so far, have had a lucky season for injuries. It's like less than the standard injuries for me. And, we played the same amount of games, probably might have been the same time. And you start thinking, last season, was it the players that have left a bit? Was it, because Cov had an injury as well, didn't he? So, and he's left.
Well, pretty much every player was injured there at some time last season.
He was. Yeah, you are right.
To be honest.
I think
it's interesting.
If you look at Cameron, maybe it's just a phase. You look at Cameron. Cameron barely missed a game for 2.5 years, did he?
I was going to say he was pretty much fit as a flea for about 2 years.
And then same as Whitfield. Whitfield barely missed a minute.
It was a bit at the end though.
Up until when he hurt his foot, and then he barely played again, did he?
Yeah, I mean I remember that was against Boreham against BT, and I know nothing about. I'm not going to claim about injuries, but he hit his knee. I was like, oh, that's bad. It just for half time take him off. And then he played the second half and basically never played the rest of the season again. So
but maybe
and we have brought another physio or some sort of head of that sort of thing in, didn't we, in the summer to help out with Kai Hepworth.
The disappointing thing has been when we've had injuries this season, we haven't had enough players in reserve just to bring in, isn't it? I mean, we've just got such a small squad.
Yeah,
well, and that's the thing. I mean, if we stay away from injuries for the remainder of the season, we may well have a chance. But if we get a couple of injuries, if we get
right or little injured, then
key play in key positions. Yeah. Even were something to happen to Lewis, even. We've been kind of one injury or one suspension away from Omar and Holman since Christmas, haven't we?
Yeah.
Effectively, and that's we're still in that situation. But
whereas Notts County will come down, they'll have about 30 players to pick from. They've still had a pretty dodgy season. Considering
for their ability, like they should be up there with the Stockport, Chesterfield, and Wrexham. Like that,
they seem to have drawn a lot of games.
You've got Carl Wooten up front. You've got a very solid keeper.
They've got Rodriguez still.
Rodriguez, that's what's very good defence.
Aaron Nemain on the wing. Yeah,
he hasn't played.
The funny thing with them is they could come through right at the end and win the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that's all they need to do is finish 7th, and then they go right. Okay. Chesterfield, Wrexham, you've just missed, not so much just missed out now. Stockport romped it, but we're coming for you. If that's all we need to do is 7th.
I think we're fighting against probably Grimsby, Daggers, and Boreham. Boreham got a small squad. They're struggling. I think Notts County will probably be okay.
No, I mean they have to be. It'd be embarrassing if Notts County don't get
haven't they? But they're just not getting any points, are they? They're just doing
Dagenham have gone out of form. I mean, people say I had, like they're not happy with their manager because their fans think they've got a great squad and they've underachieved massively. Well, it's not the case with us at all. We think we've got some great players, but the squad's poor and we've almost overachieved. I think.
In terms of a footballing team, Dagenham arguably the best side.
Oh, they're fantastic. They were absolutely brilliant, and I'm shocked they're 9th. to be honest.
Yeah. So, and again, but any one of those teams puts a good run together.
I think with Boreham and Bromley, they push so hard. They're tough defences, aren't they? They push really hard. But
when
it
your
comes
to
starts to getting a bit weak, then you start
exactly. When it comes to the end of the season,
goals to make up for it. So.
I mean, both were dreadful against us, especially Bromley. It was a shame that we drew 0-0 against both. So
I think what's interesting with this playoff structure there is now, if you look at it again, I mean, I think in overall, I'm in favour of it going down as far as Sever probably would say that this season. But I think if you look at it like last season, whilst I think the process works in terms of getting more teams in there, those teams in 7th and 6th don't really progress. If you think, if you look at the final last year,
is that the right thing though? Is that the right
well,
way?
maybe, but actually they've got to go to 2 sides that finished above them, and win there to get to the final. Now that's probably a big ask, isn't it? Really, overall, I think
if you look at the league at the moment, there's 2 teams that are really motoring, aren't they? Stockport, who are pretty much nailed on. I think they're 10-1 on to go up, and Wrexham are looking really dangerous now, aren't they?
Yeah, and we kind of want them out of the way for next season if we don't go up. So,
well, I don't think it'd be the worst thing if Stockport and Wrexham went up, would it? Because certainly financially, Chesterfield and Notts County have got financial clout, but I don't think
the teams coming down
are
in dire straits. The team's coming up on E2 in dire straits at the moment. So,
they're going to love it when we win the playoffs, aren't they?
Apart from Southend, the team that do worry me a bit next season. Because they've ended the season like us quite well, and they could actually build next year. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that another day.
I think I've booked a weekend away around the playoff semis, so
that's right. As I said a few episodes, the season's over. The season's over. I'm still going with that. I won't be so miserable.
I'm sure our wives would be understanding, Dom, if we had to change it.
Well, maybe. I'm only going to North Devon, so not too far. Have to see, won't we?
But yeah, thanks for joining me, you two.
We've got hope, haven't we, lads?
We have got. I think
the season looks over in October.
We're just proud of how we made a season of some sorts out of it, really. Well done, Gary Johnson, Aaron Downs, and all the players. So
there's plenty of team spirit there.
Keeps our views up, doesn't it? You know, keeps me things to talk about.
And unfortunately, we're back in that situation. That's saying that it's always the hope that gets you, isn't it? Hope is the worst.
I have no hope. The season's over. I can't be miserable now.
Keep out a couple of weeks for the next game.
That's what I've warned Luke against. I said, don't get too hoped because you can easily get gutted after that.
And I know the pain of last season, so I'm fine. You know, I'm not going up. So
after that, you can live through anything.
Exactly.
This is true.
I did get a couple of flashbacks halfway through the Weymouth game, just randomly. I saw Danny Wright, and then I just had flashbacks for Ashton Gate watching it. I don't know. I'm not over it. I'm not over it.
I don't think the flashbacks will ever end. It's one of those things that will never end.
And if we go up, then it will end. And we'll be like, oh, no, that's fine. Our keeper scored.
I think there's a time we'll have to stop going on about it.
I don't think we're there yet, though, Dom. I don't think
unless we go up, I'll never get over it. Simple as.
Oh, God.
I am over it, but I do.
This is a nice way to finish the episode, isn't it? On a high.
Yeah.
But no, I think some supporter said to Helen Chamberlain at the time, he said, oh, how long would disappointment go on for? And she was like, forever.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's
I just want to live in that alternative reality where the ref wasn't like that. And Cole Cameron had a statue outside our stadium because he scored 2 goals in the playoff final to send us up. And then it will be fine. But, man.
And now Billy Waters is in England C squad as well. So, hey, Billy's there as well.
He's on the same training team as Little.
Little, won't it?
It's time to go now, Sam. I don't want to reopen the Billy Waters debate, do we?
Well, enough of that one. Oh, no, I can't get over that. No, hopefully plants his foot from the penalty spot. Anyway,
can I just say quickly hello to Aaron from Australia? He left a couple of messages. He'd been in Australia for a few years and just seen these episodes and really enjoyed them. So I thought I'd say hello to him.
Cool. Hello, Aaron. Cheers for watching. I just thought only a couple of people in Torquay watch this, so we are global.
Cosmopolitan. We've gone worldwide.
We could be global. A supporter in Australia. That's it.
But yes, and we'll see. I don't know if we're doing one next week. If not, we'll see you after the next game. But we might do a preview one sort of thing. So Dom's looking at me like we're definitely doing one next week. So we're doing.